Yeah, we got more people's flag signing in. We're a couple of minutes early, so.
Yeah, well, Mariano's signing in from Argentina, Guillermo from Mexico, and from her phone, so she'll be here. So the timing is very difficult and putting it together. Good job, Carl, with everybody all over everywhere. Danny, is that you?
Yeah. Yeah,
Hi.
Danny, how you doing?
I'm good. We're better. We're a little better. Good.
That's good.
Paul,
Yes.
are you drinking coffee?
Coffee, you got it. You know,
At this time?
I'm like Louis's husband. Like I have to have my coffee. You know?
I wish.
Every night he's got to have his coffee. Absolutely.
But does he have
I
decaf?
wish.
Decaf or regular?
I sometimes just give it decaf, but he would be happy with regular.
Okay, so now that when somebody tries to get in, you just go ahead and automatically add them in. Okay? All right. Thanks.
Mariano. Mariano, welcome.
Hey, how are you?
Good, how are you?
Hi, Mariano.
Hey, Luis, how are you?
I'm good. Are you still in the little town from your wife?
Yeah, I'm in the middle of the mountains.
How wonderful. How wonderful. Cool. I told you before, I'm jealous. Love the mountains.
Me too.
It's a great place.
Yeah, very cool.
Hey, Alex.
Hey, how are you?
Good,
Hi,
good to see
Guillermo.
you.
Yeah.
Hey, Willie. Hi.
Guillermo, hi.
All right. I'm going to grab my coffee and we'll wait until
No,
like 5:05.
Regina's definitely coming. I mean, I just spoke to her a little bit ago.
Okay. Well, we'll just give them
Give
10
her a
minutes to
minute.
make sure everybody that wants to be in can be in, and then we'll start.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, all right. Because she had to hook up on her phone. Hey, hi.
Hello, Luis.
How you doing? Good?
I'm okay, yes. It was kind of difficult this time to get into the reunion, but I made it.
We're glad you're here. Yeah.
Louise, your hair looks great.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. Thank you. All those years, all that money I spent coloring it and straightening it. And then I let, with the COVID-19 pandemic, I let it just go natural. And everybody says, "Oh, I love your hair." It whiz. Yeah.
Looks good.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you.
Hello, mi Vane.
Hola, Guillermo. ¿Cómo está?
Muy bien, todo igual.
Todo bien, gracias a Dios. Ahí vamos.
Qué bueno, mucho gusto.
Igualmente.
Ya va a comenzar
Regina,
la
is
reunión
that
aún.
you?
Yes, I'm here. I'm using. I'm
Okay,
between you
good.
and Carl.
We're good. Carl went to get his coffee and give everybody a couple of minutes.
That's a good idea.
Okay.
Well, I have water, so yeah. Regina's here. Yes.
There's two Gottis.
Aye.
Hi.
There's two Gottis, yes.
Like one is not
quorum
enough.
purposes.
That could be scary.
That's interesting.
Just different angles too. So it's like
Exactly. I'm just curious how that happened.
it's scary. Because they're the same person?
Yeah?
My God.
Maybe they're using two computers.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, everybody. The time is now 5:05. I'd like to call the meeting to order, and let's see if we can establish a quorum.
Louise Rudnick.
Regina Goldfine. Quorum.
Mariano Madero.
Mika. Gotti.
One Gotti, two Gotti.
State your name. You're here as a quorum.
Okay, we've established a quorum, and I'd like to ask everybody to please mute your mics unless you're speaking. And Vanessa, can you provide proof of posting? Okay, we have proof of posting. And we've established a quorum. Okay, first of all, I apologize for the early start time. However, because of people in different time zones and everything, and the fact that a week ago we couldn't get a quorum, this was a time that works best for the existing board members. So with that being said, let's go into, we'll be using Robert's rules as we've used in our previous meetings. And let's go into new business.
Why? Last meeting you read the approval. Why you saying in the last meeting you read the approval minutes? Why you don't read it to us?
Oh, there's a new girl, this one then.
Yeah, excuse me, the last meeting, which we had scheduled on the 12th of January, the meeting could not go forward because we could not get a quorum. So therefore, that meeting has been rescheduled to tonight. So
Not a problem. My question is not why we reschedule. My question why we don't read the whole minutes from the last one.
We're going to right now. I'd like to make a motion to approve the minutes of the January 20th meeting. Meeting 1 and then meeting 2 immediately after. Do we hear a second?
Yes, second, Regina second.
Okay. Let's call for a vote.
Approve the minutes, yes.
can I get a vote?
Aye.
Yes.
Aye.
Aye. Guillermo, aye. Gotti, aye.
He's muted. Guillermo's muted.
Mr. President, a point of
Mr.
order.
President, can I ask you a question? Can you make yourself email to us on the minute?
Excuse me. There's too many people talking.
What is that?
Mr. President, a point of order. Mr. President.
Hey, buddy, it's me, Alex. I think you have to get rid of one, okay? Because it's making an echo.
I'm sorry, could you repeat that, Alex?
No, I said that Gary has to let go of one of the clients because it's making an echo.
Okay. Also,
Is it okay now?
Yeah, it's okay.
Yeah, now it's perfect, okay? Thank you.
Okay.
Okay.
Point of order, Mr. President.
So,
Point of order, Mr. President.
yes.
Yes. Well, I'm actually requesting permission to actually record on my account here, and I'm having problem with things that I need to actually request a permission from you.
The meeting is being recorded and it will be posted on our ONR site.
Okay, well, but I need to make my own copy, and pursuant to the statute,
No.
pursuant to
No.
the
The meeting will be recorded and it will be placed on our
pursuant to the
ONR
statute
site for everybody.
718, if the residents 718111, which your license cam can actually verify that statement. In addition to the fact, if you wish to consult with the attorneys, that denying residents rights to actually record the association's meeting
Excuse me. You
is
didn't
a
have to
violation.
ask permission. You could just record it. You have every right to.
Correct, but I'm unable to because the host is actually blocking me. So you're correct, Kenneth, for confirming.
I didn't block you. I just gave you access, so that's untrue. Thank
No,
you.
it says that please ask the host to give you permission to record.
No, exactly. That's exactly what I just did, but I didn't block it prior.
Okay, let me see if I.
why do we have to have it recorded twice?
Excuse me. All right. Point, everybody. Let's continue on with the meeting.
Let's just do the meeting and absurd. Okay.
All right. So there is a motion on the floor to approve the last board minutes as written, unless someone would like to have them read aloud.
It's.
Do I have a motion?
I like to read it loud. I want to read it loud.
Oh, come on, this is going to take all night.
This is my rights. And they ask me, and I say,
Okay.
I like you to read the minutes.
All right, Alex, would you please mute everyone except for me, and I'll read the minutes for our last meetings, which there was
Thank you, President. Thank
held
you very much.
held on December 8th. Alex, mute everybody, and I'll read the minutes. Minutes of the Delvista Tower Board of Directors meeting, Tuesday, December 8th, 2020, 6 p.m. It was a Zoom meeting. Board members present: Carl Berkins, Louise Rudnick, Mariano Margro, Gotti Lesham, Regina Goldfing. Also present were Kenneth Deutsch, Vanessa Pena, and Alex Pena. The meeting was called to order at 6:10 p.m. by Carl Berkins. A quorum was established. The notice of posting was presented by Vanessa Pena. Resident Alberto Milian objected to the posting, stating no time was posted on the agenda. The agenda was presented, demonstrating that the agenda starting time was included. Carl Berkins provided an explanation regarding the electronic voting system being considered. He explained the process, the paperwork to be mailed, and the owner company verification procedures. Questions were asked regarding the verification process and how to opt in or out of the system. It was determined that paper ballots would continue to be available. Louise Rudnick made a motion to approve electronic voting. Gotti Lesham seconded the motion. All voted in favor. The motion was approved. Louise Rudnick made a motion to adjourn the meeting. Gotti Lesham, second. All in favor, and the meeting was adjourned at 6:45 p.m. Minutes of Delvista Towers Board of Directors meeting Tuesday, December 8th, 2020, 7 p.m. It was a Zoom meeting. Board members present: Carl Berkins, Louise Rudnick, Mariana Margrove, Gotti Lesham, Regina Goldfling. Also present: Kenneth Deutsch, Vanessa Pena, Alex Pena. The meeting was called to order at 7:05 p.m. by Carl Berkins. A quorum was established. The notice of posting was presented by Vanessa Pena. Carl Berkins made a motion to approve the minutes of the August 3rd, 2020 board meeting. Mr. Million requested that the minutes be read aloud before approval. Carl Berkins read the minutes aloud. Louise Rudnick made a motion to approve the minutes as presented. Gina Goldfing seconded the motion. All voted in favor, and the motion was approved. Carl Berkins provided an update on our renovation project. He explained the ongoing negotiation process with Capital Construction. He stated that all payments to the capital are being withheld until an agreement is achieved between the association and Capital Construction. Carl Berkins then explained Castorino and Allen's role in the process as our third party. Carl Berkins then stated that Capital has threatened a lawsuit, and we are planning on countersuing them in that event. Our position is that Capital is responsible for all work and expenses. Multiple questions were asked by residents regarding existing door gaps, the door punch list, and the process to correct the problems. Item number 6. Carl Berkins made a motion to appoint Alexandra Kazarminski, excuse my pronunciation, to fill the empty board position for a period of 13 months. Concerns about Mrs. Kazarminski's ownership time was discussed. It was determined that according to our condominium documents, a board member is required to be an owner for a minimum of 9 months. Mrs. Kazarminski has not met the minimum ownership requirement, although she has been a resident for several years and is 1 month shy of qualification. Mariano Margrove made a motion to table the nomination. Regina Goldfing second. All voted in favor, and the motion was approved. Manager Kenneth Deutsch explained elevator repair proposal. Mariano Margrove made motion to approve the proposal. Louise Rudnick seconded the motion. All voted in favor, and the motion was approved. Item number 8. Manager Kenneth Deutsch explained what a 40-year certification implies, the proposal process, and the steps to be taken. Carl Berkins discussed the 5 bids from engineering firms competing for the position. He explained that they are under review and offered copies to any resident interested and welcomed their input and possible suggestions. Louise Rudnick motioned to adjourn the meeting. Gotti Lesham second the motion. All voted in favor, and the meeting was adjourned at 8:21 p.m. After reading the minutes of our last meeting, can I get a motion to approve the minutes?
I'll repeat the motion made previously to approve the minutes as presented.
Can I get a second?
A second.
All in favor?
Yes.
Aye. Aye.
Yes.
All opposed? All opposed? The motion passes. All right. Item number 2 on the agenda to readdress the motion that was tabled at the last board meeting for approval of Alexandra Kazarminski appointment to the vacant board seat. Can I get a motion?
Yes, it's Regina. I make a motion to nominate and appoint Alexander Kazarminski to fill the seat for a period of 13 months from today's date.
Can I get a second?
I'll second.
Point of order, Mr.
All in favor?
Point of order.
Yes.
All in favor?
Yes.
Point of order, Mr. President.
All in favor? Excuse me. There's
Yes,
a motion on the
Regina,
floor.
yes.
Yes.
Oh, yes?
We're looking for Gotti. I don't know what happened.
Gotti, where is Guillermo?
Yes.
Yes?
Yes. You hear me?
Yes.
Guillermo
got you
was
now,
having
Mariano.
problems from Mexico. Oh, there he is.
Willie, where are you? Car 54, where are
Yes.
you? Okay.
Okay, all are in full, all are in agreement. The motion passes.
Point of order, Mr. President.
Alexander.
Congrats. Welcome.
Congrats. Yes.
Point of
Well,
order,
it's
Mr.
wonderful that you did this without asking for any comment from the membership,
We
isn't
did
it?
that at the last meeting. It's not required. All you
It's a new
do is-
motion.
No,
It's a
it's
new
not.
motion,
sir.
Mr. Bergen.
No, it's not.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, it's
No,
a new. It is a new motion. It is a new motion.
It is not a new motion.
Yes, it is, because you cannot pre-approve that. In other words, and if you're saying it's not a new motion, that then you're saying that you pre-approve the appointment of the director.
Excuse me. We're moving on to
No,
item 3.
Mr. President, point
Item
of order.
3.
Point of order.
Please mute Mr.
Point of
Warren.
order. Point of order, please.
We're moving on to item 3.
It's a
Update
new
on
motion,
the-
and you're perpetrating a fraud on the association.
Update on the approval process for selecting an engineer for
Point of
4-year
order, Mr.
certification.
President.
Before you go there, can we have a roll call vote, Mr. President?
Point of order, Mr. President. Point
The
of
motion
order,
has been made and approved.
Mr.
It's
President.
done.
Mr.
We're
President.
moving on to item
Point
number
of
3.
order.
Can we have what the number of votes were?
The number of votes were 6 approved, 0 opposed.
Point of order, Mr. President. Mr.
Item
President,
number 3.
the
Update on the approval process for
Point of
selecting
order,
an
Mr.
engineer
President.
for 40-year certification.
point of order. Point of order.
Update. I'm sorry, sir.
Point of
I'm
order,
sorry,
Mr. President.
I'm sorry. That issue is done.
Point of-
We're moving on to our.
Point of order, Mr. President. Point
Item
of
3.
order. Will you hear
Let him
me?
make his point of order for the record.
Go ahead for the record.
Okay. Alexander, I'd like to welcome you to the board. Alexander, our new director.
We could hear you. Go ahead.
Alexander? Director Alexander? Director
I'm
Alexander?
here.
Okay, hi. I'd like to welcome you to the board. And we also like to thank you for actually volunteering to actually to join a part of this project, for which it's a thankless job. As a director of the board, I have a question for you.
No, sir. That you're out of order.
I'm
You are
speaking.
out of order.
I am speaking to the
You are
director.
out of order.
I am
You are-
speaking to the
you
new
are out of
director. That's
order.
for the new director to decide.
No, you know what?
That is for the new director to decide.
Excuse me, sir.
I'm
Excuse
speaking
me.
to the new director.
You, Mr. Warren, let me make this clear to everybody. Okay? According to section 4.2, page 6 of the Delvista Tower Condo Association docs, a majority vote of the directors can appoint anyone to fill an empty seat.
That was not my
has
that
been
that was
done,
that was
and
not
it's
my
been
point,
voted
sir.
on, and it's
Paul,
a non-issue. So please,
if you
do not
allow
try
me to
hijack
speak,
my meeting.
please
Let's move
allow
on
me-
to the next.
please
to the
allow me to
next
speak to the
item.
director. You
Well,
don't
why
know
don't
what.
you just mute-
how do
mute-
you know?
mute the-
How do
mute the
you?
objections
How do you know in
already?
advance what I'm going to say? That is for the director.
Mr. Warren, this is an open board meeting that we have a specific agenda that we're following. So if you have problems at the end, there's an open discussion. You can bring. You can.
Will you?
do
I
that
did
at
not
that
say
time.
I have.
At this
I'm
time,
asking.
we're moving on to
Will you,
item
I am
3.
speaking. I am.
We are moving on to
I
item
am
3.
requesting to speak to the new
Update on the
director.
process for selecting an engineer.
I am
for a
requesting to
40-year
speak to the new
certification.
director. We have a new director. Why can't we speak to the new director?
Mr. Warren,
Why-
item number 7.
why
you can
can't
do it
we-
at the end? at the end, okay?
Why
Sorry.
can't we
Just
speak
keep-
to the new director?
Excuse me, sir. Please respect this meeting and let's follow the procedures.
I was having a conversation with Alexandra, and you
Let's move on. This is an open meeting and we're wasting everybody's time. So at the end, if you would like to have a conversation, that's the appropriate time for that. Right now, we're on item number 3 on our agenda for an update on the approval process for selecting an engineer for our 40-year certification.
So, what part of the agenda do we get to speak to the new director?
Item number 7.
And item number 7?
Yes.
Okay, sir. Okay.
So, an update on the approval process for selecting an engineer for our 40-year certification. Last week, Kenneth and I interviewed 2 of the 5 companies that submitted proposals to do our 40-year certification, which is due in May of 2022. While this is a long process, we felt that it's necessary because of the approval process to make the board and the membership aware of what this is going to entail. We interviewed the Falcon Group and also SRI Consultants, which have both done work in this building. They submitted proposals. The other 3 proposals that we received, we didn't think were adequate to address our needs going forward. As a result of these 2 meetings, and Ken will go over the 4-step process in order for us to get approval, we requested from each of the 2 companies that we interviewed a copy of 3 recommendations of buildings that they had worked on and did this type of work with before, so that we could go out and meet with the ones that provided the recommendations and be able to see if they could adequately address our needs. Ken, can you go through the 4-step process for the 40-year certification?
Yes, well, as you started to say, first would be selecting the engineer, and then putting the proposals together, all which would take approximately 6 months to do. When sending out the proposals, and then producing the proposals, sending out the proposals, and then getting prospective contractors to submit the proposals for the association and board's review for a choice of contractor to do the oversee the entire project. The project consists of a couple phases. One is taking care of the outside structure, the walls, the balconies, and the roof, all of which are in need of repair. Then on the interior as well, they also have to inspect the electric systems that we have, and if any upgrades are required. They'll also check a number of units, from my understanding, just arbitrarily, to see that there were no illegal things done within certain units, and those would be, as I say, an arbitrary pick. The other part of the review and need of repair would be the parking lot. And once the parking lot is touched, it has to be completely redone, and then we'd have to readjust and adjust the lighting also to meet current date standards. Right now, we have the standards based whenever this property was built 38 years ago, 39 years ago, which is insufficient for today's standards. And that's really the entire process, which should take, I would say, at least 2 years to complete. And that is really the stages in a nutshell.
And I'd like to add that during our interviews with the 2 companies that submitted bids, it was brought up that once we commence the project, the project, if we are making progress toward our completion date, our drop dead date right now is, Ken, correct me if I'm wrong, it's May 2022?
2023. 23. We have a year and a half. May 22 is next year. It's 23. We have a year and a half. So you figure by the time we get the proposals out, we have a year. So once we start doing the work, we can show, intent, and we're obviously looking to correct any deficiencies. The city will allow us to continue on without any fines or without stopping the process or without making people move out, which they've done in other places.
Okay, Louise has a question.
Yes, please. As we will be redoing the parking lot, and there were issues before with people and golf courses and golf balls hitting cars. And we were told at the time we could not put up a net back there or anything because it would disrupt our parking spaces and our lot and the amount of time. At the time that we do this, can we reinvestigate this as to if we need to make any changes to accommodate some protection from the golf balls hitting cars?
From my point of view, I don't think it would do much good because those golf balls are flying way over the top of the trees. So, you can't get a fence that high to protect all the cars, unfortunately.
Yes.
Okay.
However, that's not a definite statement. We can readdress this with
Previously, I was told that we couldn't do anything because it meant we would be realigning the parking spaces and moving it back, and it was a major production. If we're redoing the parking lot, and that was the correct reasoning, maybe this would be the time to address it.
And my point is, you know what, we've addressed this with Turnberry in the past.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
And that if we look at going forward with this, that would have to be, in my opinion, a shared expense. And I know we addressed it with them 2 years ago, 2.5 years ago. I think it would be prudent for us to readdress this with Turnberry rather than just trying to do it on our own because of the way the property lines are laid out.
Exactly. Well, because we have had several more complaints this past year, and I think this would be a good time to look into it.
Yes.
Mr. President, as for the going back to the 40-year certification that we have, based on the report that Ken provided, Ken, thank you so much. What is the expected deadline that the two companies that we have to submit the bids in terms of and then at what meeting do you plan to have the opening of that bids process? So what's the timeline that you have on that? Thank you.
You want me to answer that, Carl? Basically, what's happening is it's going to take 6 months before the engineer puts everything together to get out for bids, okay? Or for the bids to be returned, which only gives you about a year to start working. So you have to start working so that we are actually in progress when the city says, okay, what are you doing? And we'll have to extend the time. But the length of time that's going to take for the work to be done is undetermined at this time because you don't know the amount of restoration work that has to be done. And that only happens when the contractors are on site with the engineers. They can do a cursory exam, but that's why when you go and get your proposals, you have to look at what they charge for the unknown items as far as linear length of repair, depth, width, full depth penetration, so forth and so forth. And that's where you can negotiate with some of the contractors to make sure you get a reasonable price for the unforeseen. They'll give you a ballpark pricing based on this estimate that the engineer is going to give you based on an initial analysis. And they'll go through a number of drops to figure out percentage-wise what they have on a drop, and then extend that out to a number of different drops that they would have, and that's what they would give them as a baseline to start with. But the baseline is only a baseline.
So they haven't started as yet. What they're currently doing, it's just they're still doing through the diagnostic of the entire area, or
We haven't hired anybody as yet. That's what this meeting is for. This is first of all just for the board to present this to the residents, and then after it's presented, we've already met, and at that point, the board will hire somebody to start the process.
but we're looking on a 6 months timeline roughly.
Well, I would certainly hope that after this meeting, they would have another meeting just to ratify somebody as quickly as possible to get the process started.
Thank you, Ken.
Kenneth, let me ask you a question, please. You're talking about the contract, the restoration contract to do the job. How about the engineering? Who took the engineering company to do the report for the contractor?
The board, like any contract, the board reviews the proposals, and the board is the one responsible for picking the contractor.
I'm not talking about the contractor. I'm talking about the engineer. Who hired the engineer? What is the rate?
The engineer also, like any contract, is hired by the board.
So we never hire engineer and we never hire the contractor, correct?
No.
Did we hire the engineer yet?
No.
Okay.
Nobody was hired. That's correct. Yes.
I want to follow up on that question. Why are they, if we haven't hired an engineer and we haven't hired a contractor, why are they doing remediation work on the north side of Tower 1 where they've had a scaffold there working for weeks and making noise? And the scaffold has not been taken down, even though they create. My question is for the board, not for the manager.
But I could answer.
I'm not talking to the manager.
But I could answer your question.
Well, I don't want to answer. I don't want you to answer. I want the board to answer.
Okay.
And who authorized that without permits?
There are permits for that. Go check. There are permits for that.
Okay.
And this is the manager telling you that.
When was the permit pulled?
The permits were pulled when they first started there a few months back.
For the entire line.
Why
That's
have
right,
they,
for
why
the entire
why have
line.
they stopped working then? Why have they stopped working?
They stopped working because what happened is I'm moving the scaffold to fill some windows that are leaking into. Okay? Well, I'd love to, but you keep talking over me.
It's Pete, somebody is.
Somebody needs to mute their phone.
Yes, there's a lot of noise.
Thank you. So who is Falcon Engineering? I thought Falcon Engineering, are they the one that's actually doing the work, the diagnostic?
One of the companies that submitted the bid for the entire project is one that's doing that work right now. That work was being done very simply because on Unit 711, there was water intrusion, water problems on the balcony that were creating a real problem. And actually there was full depth penetration to the unit below. So we had to get that fixed. And while they were over there, we just had the board, the board member said, look, as long as they're doing that, let them check the entire line. So what they did is they went and they checked the entire line and they marked out things that they saw that needed restoration work. They haven't started that because they went back to upgrade their permit, okay? And while the permit is being upgraded to cover these additional units, they are doing the window caulking that they need to repair the leaks. That's the entire situation.
So
this is a question for the board. Let me ask a question to the board. At what board meeting was that company permitted or authorized or given the money? And when was that vote taken to do the work which goes the entire line of Tower 1's north wing?
Who's the board member? And who's that board member when you say Ken?
Keep your feet up, honey.
Excuse me, can I get everybody to mute your mics? Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you, Carl.
Yes.
Okay, to answer your question, that was a immediate repair that needed to be done. It was approved. It did not have to be approved at a board meeting because it was a immediate repair that had to be done, just like any other immediate action that has been taken. And by electing us as a board, we make the determination that any safety issues that need to be addressed, we can address without having to bring it up at a open board meeting.
So what subsequent meeting did you address the emergency powers that you invoked? Because yes, you're correct. You can invoke your emergency powers at any time to take care of our affairs, which we appreciate. But the statute requires that at a subsequent meeting, you need to actually, within a statutory time, disclose to us what was done without our open board discussion, sir.
That's incorrect. Okay, let's move on. Anybody have any other?
I'm sorry,
I strongly
because I did not
suggest
get an
that.
answer.
I strongly
I did
suggest
not
you.
get an answer. And how much is that contract that was approved under the guise of an emergency costing the association right now? And I think Mr. Warren deserves an answer. The statute does require at a subsequent meeting that this be discussed and that an explanation be given. But that's an entire line. That wasn't one apartment. This is an entire line, and they've been working there for weeks. And we've had other meetings, and this has never been addressed by the board at any open meeting.
Carl, at this
You know
point,
what? Hey, you know what? Excuse me.
It's
Excuse
on
me.
one balcony, Carl.
Excuse me. Excuse me. Your request for information has been noted. It will be put into the record, and we will provide you with the information that you are requesting. I can't answer that right now because I don't have the information in front of me. We will provide you with the documentation.
Okay,
and
you're referring to
our decision process.
I'm confused, Mr. President. You just actually said that, understanding from you on Ken, that you invoked the emergency powers because the engineers were actually working on another apartment, and then a board member authorized this. My question to you, sir, is
Mr.
who
Warren,
is the board member?
Excuse me. I just explained to you how the board will answer your questions. Okay, let's move on.
Who's the board member, and at what board meeting was it approved?
Have any questions about our 40-year assessment?
Mr. Burgers, you said assessment. How much is the assessment?
For the 40-year assessment, I don't know. That's why we're having this discussion early on, so that we can figure out what we need to do going forward. This is just an informational, put it out there for everybody to know. This is what we're looking at. There's no decisions being made. There's no contracts being let. This is informational only to let you know where we are at this point, to let you know that going forward, this is an issue that's going to have to be addressed by the board.
I have a question to Kenneth. Hey, Ken. What is the calendar look like for discussing the hiring of the engineer? What is that is needed in order for us to review the final proposals and vote on that?
Well, right now, Carl was asking for other references that we could talk to and get their opinion about the engineering company. I mean, I looked through the references, and I've worked with both of these companies before, too, so I had recommended them. We also have one from Pistorino and Alum, which was doing something also, but their pricing was out. They really didn't give us a very good proposal at all. And I was very disappointed in the work that they've been doing for us right now with Capital. So anyway, that's why, and their pricing was out of line too, and looking at just what they presented. and it was a very thin presentation. And there was one or two others that just didn't really come up to par as far as I was concerned. And I shared that with the rest of the board, and they looked at it as well, and they also felt the same way. So we shortlisted the 4 or 5 that we got to 2 that have done work here and are reputable companies, and now we're just going to follow up even a little further.
How many bids?
Okay, but I agree with the assessment that SRNI and Falcon Group presented the most interested proposals. But I think it looks like the calendar in front of us for completing the work is longer than the time we have in order to do this.
No,
is of the
No. Once we start, there's no way we're going to finish the thing before the deadline. So there's no true deadline here, Mariano. As long as we can get it started and show significant process before the end date, the city will let us continue on.
Okay, so there is chance to get an extension.
Well, it's not even an extension. No, because we have to start. And like I said, from the time we hire an engineer, before we get a first contractor out here, would be at least 6 months. So, part of it is if we started right now, we would be starting in the summertime. But the problem is to start in the summertime, you have a lot of potential hurricanes, which means you have to break down your scaffolding. Each time you break down and have to reinstall, there's a big expense incurred in that. Then the other thing is, do you wait now and start when it comes near the holiday times for winter time, which is the most opportune time to start, but then you're really infringing on everybody else. The length of time this is going to take, somewhere or another, is going to infringe on everybody. There's no question about it, no matter how you cut this. So, and the time span really depends on the amount of work that we see. We first have to do balconies, structure on the outside. Then the last phase that we're going to do on the building would be the roof, because we want to make sure all the scaffolding and all the activity up there is taken away, and then we address the roof. And the roof, even now, we have leaks all over the place, and we patch, so that has to be done. So we can't keep delaying, and that's why we're trying to get approval of the engineer so we can start moving forward on the next step.
It looks like it's a very complex and long process.
Yes.
But so that's why I'm looking for your assessment on what's your estimation on when we can sit again and discuss the hiring of the engineers.
The sooner the better, the quicker the better, because it's time to do everything, to analyze everything. They have to go around, they have to do an investigation themselves to put out the basic proposals that go to everybody. Then when the proposals go out to everybody, it takes a while for the contractors all to come back, look, figure out, supply the proposals. Then the board has to then decide on which contractor, and then the mobilization. All of that takes time.
No, I know, but today is January 20th. On the estimated date when we are going to sit again and discuss which are we going to pick for engineering only.
I was hoping.
What is that day looking like?
Okay, I was hoping to do that at the last meeting. So right now it looks like it's going to be at the next meeting, and you can call that meeting whenever you want.
We are in a position to do choice now, or do we need anything else?
You can make a choice now. I mean, I'd want more people to look at it, come down, discuss it, and then you could hold a board meeting with one item on it and just approve it.
Carl, okay. Ken, I thought we were going to start a process of contacting their previous jobs so that we could gather some recommendations.
Right. Exactly. So that's why.
So that we have something to base this on.
Correct. And that's why I'm saying right after we get, and we can sit, we have that, then we could have a board meeting at any time just to approve that, a one-item board meeting, okay?
Kenneth, how many engineering bidding on this?
I said originally there were 5.
Yes. How many we need by law?
3, I thought.
Right.
How they base the price? They base the price by the job or by the hour?
There is no price. We haven't agreed upon a price.
No.
They haven't. They have not.
The engineering.
They give, Danny, like if you're in the business, you know they give a price based on the hours worked, just like an attorney would give out.
I understand. That's what I'm looking for. And what is
for the engineer, so forth and so forth.
You just say you had one company and you think they didn't give you the right number. So I like to know.
They said they gave me prices of what their hourly rates were much too high, much higher than me.
What is the other two? What you compare it to? What you compare it to?
Compared it to the other ones that I received.
What they are?
What?
What is the prices?
I don't have the prices in front of me. I was given to the board, and that's why they shortlisted it to the two companies.
Ask the board. One of the board members know the prices?
They have. There's no.
No, you just say you gave it to them.
Danny, it's not like they said it's going to cost you $100,000. They turned around and said, this is what it is per hours that we choose, and I looked at the hourly rates.
Gentlemen, please,
It's
please.
not only the engineering.
That's it.
Excuse me, everybody. Like I said, this was an informational meeting only. There's no decisions. There's no decisions being made. There's no contracts being let. We are letting the board and the membership know that this is the process that we're looking at as far as moving forward with our 40-year certification.
Right. Carl, but Danny's question is, what's the baseline? What's the baseline that can use to make the decision that this proposal was the best one? And then the problem the problem I'm seeing with that is like that proposal should have actually been held at a board meeting. So what for those three proposals to be have an open discussion?
We have a problem, Houston. We are in the evaluation process.
So where didn't we have that meeting? When did we have that meeting?
Copies of the 5 proposals.
When did we have the meeting to discuss that? When did you have the open meeting?
Informational meeting only.
And when did you have that informational only meeting so that we can actually sit there and watch you discuss comparing that first price as Danny's asking against the baseline of the other two, and those proposals are actually bids which were supposed to be presented to the board according to the protocol that the association requested. This very board requested that process in sealed envelopes.
Excuse me, everybody. All right, excuse me, everybody, please. Item number 3 was to give an update. You have been given an update on item number 3 on the 40-year certification. That's it.
Point of order.
Excuse me. Let me finish.
You're being disrespectful to the members by shouting at. You are being disrespectful to the residents by shouting.
This is okay.
No, this is our meeting. And you're being disrespectful to the residents by shouting at the residents like that. Please be respectful.
Excuse me, sir. Let me finish my sentence.
You just shouted at please.
Look, I'm not going to sit here and argue. All right, everybody has better things to do.
Thank you.
I have presented the item out there to provide an update. An update has been provided.
And I have first, Carl, I want to thank you for the update. And let me ask the board member and the manager, all these bids have to be sealed? How are we comparing the prices? All these bids have to be sealed? I have to ask. I'm asking you, Mr. President, and the manager.
We have not received any bids. The only thing we've received is proposals. We received 5 proposals. We evaluated 2.
proposal it's by hourly. It goes,
There has
the
been
manager says it's go by hourly. It's all
Oh
over
my
the
God.
proposal.
Okay, all right, guys.
Carl,
All right, let's move on to item number 4.
Listen, there are people who are just trying to obstruct the meeting. Why don't you just mute them so we can go on? Because we're going over the same thing and nothing's been done.
Ken, stop.
Right.
Stop.
Jesus.
Mr. President, please stop
Okay,
shouting.
moving on to
You're
item
just
number
shouting. You are just shouting. You are just,
Item
Mr.
number
President. You are just having an outburst at the property manager. Please be professional in your decorum, please.
Ay, Dios.
It doesn't matter with whom you're
Item number
speaking.
4.
Have some decorum, please.
Item number 4. We have a proposal to purchase 2 permanent gas grills for the pool deck. Cost not to exceed $5,000. Do I have any discussion on item number 4?
Luis, you're muted. You're muted. Or muted?
Unmute. I've been hearing about this from the people that barbecue for years. They would like a permanent grill. And I don't know what the costs are, but I imagine just buying the charcoal and everybody that involved, that's got to be an expense too. We don't barbecue, but I've been hearing about this for a very long time. Why don't we put together something, get some people to get some bids, maybe a board member and a couple of residents that like to work on it, and find out and investigate what the cost would be, if there's any other things involved that we're not aware of. And if it's a permanent gas grill, you're talking about having a tank? Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah.
By the grill. Okay. Why don't we have some kind of committee to look into it for us?
Question, Louise.
Any other board members?
Question, Louise.
Excuse me, sir. Board members first, and then we'll put it out to the general audience. Please, let's stay with Robert's rules. Any other board members have any comments they would like to make?
Mr. President, you have,
Okay.
Mr. President.
I have a comment
Mr. President,
that I would like to make.
Mr. President,
Mr. President,
Mr. President,
I asked this question
Mr. President,
4 years ago
Mr. President,
to a previous board, and I was told that the reason that we did not have gas grills on the pool deck was because there was a City of Aventura and a insurance liability issue. I checked and I took it at face value from the board that was there at the time. However, since being on the board, I conferred with our insurance agent and found out there's nothing insurance-wise that would preclude us from being able to put permanent grills out there. And I also checked with the City of Aventura. There are no restrictions as long as they are gas grills and they're on the pool deck. So what I was told 4 years ago was incorrect. Now that we have the correct information, every place I've lived in, condominiums throughout Florida, they have, as an amenity for the residents, they have grills. And not just having a grill brought out once every 2 weeks. If you have somebody visiting, if you want to go barbecue, I love to barbecue, by the way. So, for me, personally, and in talking to my neighbors, and having talked to people at the barbecues for the last 5 years, I think this is something that the board should really take a look at to see if we could come up with a solution that will benefit all the residents if they choose to take advantage of it.
Regina, you were our barbecue queen for so many years. Have you ever heard a request for this?
Oh, definitely. I think it's a wonderful idea. And did you say we have to get a committee together, Louise?
I just was suggesting maybe a board member or two and a couple of residents to get some prices and look into it. That's all.
Okay.
Whether that's just a suggestion, that's all.
Yes, it's very good, Louise. Very good. So, should we advertise it in the newsletter to get people together, or what?
Carl, what do you think? How do you want to do?
You know what? I would like to get a motion for the board to establish a committee to look into the viability of getting permanent grills to be put on the pool deck, just the same way we did when we suggested inputs from the residents on what equipment to put in the gym, because this is something that's going to be enjoyed by all the residents and not just a select few. And the more input we can get, the better product we can get in the end.
Mr. President, may I ask a question?
I'll make a motion
Mr. President?
to form a committee to look into the feasibility of gas grills to replace our charcoal currently being used.
Mr. Berkins, you said
Can I
you
get
would
a
let
second?
the board members.
Can I get a second?
Ask questions and then the residents.
Okay.
So I think that we skipped over that step before you make the motion and vote on it.
I'm sorry.
Okay.
Mr. Berkins, you said
Go
the
ahead.
city of Aventura doesn't have any prohibitions, and the insurer told you verbally that they didn't have a problem. Did you get that from the?
We had a meeting with our insurance agent last week. We had lunch. We went over our entire policy because our policy is up for renewal in March. We talked about several things, and this was one of the items that I had asked ahead of time for him to discuss and to provide us with any statutory requirements that says that we couldn't do it. And he was not able to do that. Go ahead, Louise.
I just want to say my understanding, and again, we're going back several years, was that original concept was to run the gas line, not to have the portable grills with the gas tanks that you go and fill. They were discussing putting a gas line that would run as a permanent.
Luis, the question.
Thank you for that clarification. Let me finish the question, Paul.
Uh-huh.
Mr. Berkins, my question has to do with liability. Has anybody sought a legal opinion on what would be our liability if some propane gas happens to explode out there, if somebody gets injured, if somebody gets burned? Did anybody ask legal to provide, and I always say a written opinion because verbally things get denied with time. I think
And while getting that one, find out if they can.
Louise, let me finish, please. Louise,
Yeah.
let me finish.
Sure.
Don't you think it would be more appropriate to get written opinions from both the insurer as well as legal as to what the implications for our liability should there be an accident out there or a catastrophic incident where a propane gas were to ignite? That's my question to the president.
And I would like to add to that, if you're going to proceed with that, also what would be our liability? Let's say somebody tipped over one of the barbecues with the charcoal. Isn't that the same thing?
I agree with you, and I don't know if you all sought a legal opinion before you started putting something out there that could end up costing us money in a lawsuit.
I have no idea. It was years before I was involved.
Well, the question.
Let me ask Mr. Berkins. He was the one who raised the specter of talking to the insurance carrier as well as the city. Do we have any written opinions? Plus, do we have any opinions from legal?
No, we don't. The short answer is no.
Okay.
Do you agree that it might be more prudent before we undertake an expense?
We are not undertaking expense at this point. All we're doing is establishing an exploratory committee, and that's one of the questions that they can do as part of their investigation.
I understand, but I think what I'm suggesting is that besides exploring the equipment and the cost of installation and the cost of the equipment itself, would it not be prudent to get written statements from the insurance carrier as well as our legal so we can consider before a board, a future board, because you're probably not going to have time to vote it on this board, knows what the implications are for the association enough.
You know what? Go ahead, Louise.
No, I was just going to say I think it's a very prudent step, and that as long as we're investigating prices, etc., I think to have this something permanently established with a legal opinion is very prudent.
And Luis, may I add to that?
So do I have a motion?
Before the motion, before you do the motion, Carl. Well, are we looking on the cost between the two gas grills? Louise, I was trying to figure this question from you. So are we looking on an estimated somewhere about spending, because it says maximum of 5. So let's say, are we looking on spending on approximately $8,000, perhaps plus the installation and all? Yes?
No, there's no installation. It's a barbecue.
Okay.
Grill. You have a tank on the side that you go and get filled.
So approximately 8,000.
So.
Approximately 8,000.
I have no idea. We don't barbecue, and I have no idea.
Well, the reason why I'm asking for clarity, Luis, is because it said up to 5,000. So many residents and myself were curious as to whether or not there was we're already looking on something that actually may cost that much, or that's what I'm trying to figure out. And the reason why I'm asking that question is I have actually gotten the feedback from some residents, and I'm sure you perhaps may be aware that due to the pandemic, with the economic situation, some residents, of course, feel that it's a bit insensitive of us to be actually spending monies on something of that nature at this time, considering the other important issues that we have. And that's the reason why I'm asking, because we have budgetary restraints. So I'm trying to figure out how did we get here in this current environment.
This is a proposal. Okay. There's no fix. That's all this is a proposal to do some exploration and to come up with a possible solution.
How did we come to up to 5,000?
You know what?
I'd like to make
Can you make a motion, please?
I'm trying to, as soon as I can. Okay. I would like to make a motion to consider the proposal to have a committee put together of several residents and board members to investigate the legal ramifications as well as the pricing and feasibility.
And the insurance, Louise.
Purchasing of several gas grills.
Can I get a second?
Yes, Regina. And insurance also we have to get in writing.
Yeah, well, I'd say that the liabilities, insurance, and safety. Absolutely.
Call for a vote. All in favor?
Yes.
Aye.
Yes.
Aye. All opposed?
Carl, I didn't hear a second. Could you tell me if there was a second, please?
There was.
Yes, I made it, Al. Regina.
Second.
Regina seconded.
Thank you.
None opposed. Okay, the motion passed. Let's move on to item.
Hallelujah.
Carl, I gotta leave. Sorry.
Okay.
Take care.
We still got 4, so we still got a quorum.
Bye, Gotti.
Bye,
Give them a hug and kiss for me. Okay, bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Okay, item number 5 on our agenda. Capital renovation project update. And I'll start here, and anybody from the board can chime in. As you all know, we have been in serious negotiations with Capital over the last 7 months, where we have been withholding funds from them, and currently we owe Capital $1.4 million in payments that we withheld since June. We are between their attorneys and our attorneys because negotiations broke down between the board and Capital. Asked for how we're going to finish this project. and get the 45-minute doors that, according to the change order from a couple of years ago, that they were supposed to deliver. As of today, and this has been ongoing, as of today, Capital has, through their attorney, sent us a letter saying that if we don't pay them $1 million of the $1.4 million that we owe them, that they are going to they're going to sue us. They're going to start litigation. Capital has also placed a lien, a construction lien, on the building. We came back with a counter proposal to give them $500,000 of the money that we're holding until they finish the project. They came back and said, that's no good. We need $1 million or we're going to court. We sent them a counter proposal today saying that we would agree to release $750,000 because we are enjoying the amenities and everything that they've completed up to this point, and then hold the other $750,000 back until A, they finish the project, all the required permits, everything is done, and the doors are completed, and they complete the project, and then we will discuss releasing additional funds. This is because in the event they don't finish the project and we have to go back and redo all the doors and everything else in order to get it in compliance, we need to have these funds available. The letter went out today. I'm waiting on a response back from Capital. The board's position right now is that we have not received the services or the infrastructure that was written into the contract. So we feel that we're entirely justified in withholding the funds, which we are doing. That leaves us with two options. Either A, they accept our counter proposal, and then we move forward with a negotiation. If they refuse our counter proposal, then our only option is to countersue them. And now we're looking at litigation, which could run out, because of this pandemic, 3, 4, 5 years before this thing gets resolved. Our position as a board is we want to get it done. We want to get it done, but we're not going to get it done at the fact of being, we're going to be screwed by Capital not providing what they were contracted to do and to the level of satisfaction that we are comfortable with. Anybody else? Mariano, is that pretty much summarizes where we are today?
No, I think that explains what happened in the last days.
Okay.
Don't have anything else to add, Carl.
Yeah, go ahead, Guillermo. Guillermo, you're muted.
Is it okay now?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Okay. That's what we talked about, and I agree on. Let's see what they have to say. Yes?
Yes. Okay.
Okay, that's it.
All right.
I agree with Mariano.
Yeah.
Carl, can I ask a question?
Sure.
And the new permit they pulled for the door, what is the rating for the door?
45 minutes.
45? Okay. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, that's been the sticking point. And guys, just so everybody knows out here, we have been agonizing over this. We've been going back and forth, having meetings, counter meetings. We're trying to get this done. We want everybody to be able to put the doorbells on. We want everybody to be safe. We want everything to be done correctly. And I've been telling Capitol this for over a year, that we are not going to compromise safety, and we're not going to compromise on them delivering what they're supposed to deliver.
When did you start telling them that?
Over a year ago, 15 months ago.
Oh my God. Carl.
Yes.
How are they going? What is the proposal to fix the gap in the bottom?
To fix the what?
The gap between the threshold and the door.
That's for them. Go ahead, Louise. That's part of the things that they're going to have to fix in order to complete the project. They are working with Intertech, the fire department, the city of Aventura. They're all on board that they have to deliver a 45-minute door that meets the fire rating and that also meets the minimum gap threshold that's required by the state, the city, and the fire department. So they are on the hook for addressing that.
Do they have a permit to address that as yet?
Yes.
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 Didn't they say at the last evaluations there was of the 433 unit doors, there was like 100 or 90 that they were going to have to make adjustments to? Is that about correct?
You know what? I don't want to say numbers.
Okay.
But
All right.
we know that there are those that have to be addressed, and that's on Capitol. And Capitol, it has to, before we release any more funds, they
Right.
have to provide us with the documentation showing that they have met all the criteria for the 45-minute doors with the acceptable gaps. So
Gaps
that's
and
on
the
them.
380.
That's why we've been holding the money back. Is
I know.
And you're holding money because they breach the contract. And I understand from the Kenneth, the manager, we hire independent engineering firm to inspect this door. What they recommend for the gap?
the engineering firm that we hired, Pistorino and Allen, we hired them because of the information that we were receiving from Capitol. We didn't think was correct.
I understand
And
what they recommend.
therefore,
for the gap.
since none of us have the expertise, we hired the experts
I agree
to
with
come
you.
in and provide us with a report that we provided to Capitol. And
I agree with you. This is a good thing, but what they recommend to do about the gap?
they made one recommendation. However, until we hear back, they're working with our attorneys to make sure that the correct language and everything is in the proposals before we sign off on giving Capitol any money.
Can
Look, Danny, it's a 60-page report.
Can I review it? Can I get a copy of it?
Sure.
No
Sure, if you want it, hey, 6 pages. Yeah, it cost me $2 to reprint it for you. Yeah, I'll give you a copy of mine. I'll give you my copy.
problem. Thank you.
Okay. Any other discussion on anybody else have any questions about where we are with Capitol right now?
No.
Okay.
Let's move on.
All right. Item number 7. This is our last, before we open it up to discussions for
You did six, Carl. I don't believe you did 6.
Oh, excuse me, 6. Delvista board recall. Back in December, right before Christmas, I received 2 packages from the Delvista board recall committee, which provided affidavits signed by members asking for the board to be recalled. And this was right before Christmas. Took a look at them, forwarded them on to our attorneys, and from our initial first blush, we were given 44 ballots for recall. And in order to, correct me if I'm wrong, in order to put this as a item for an open board meeting, it has to be 10% of the membership requesting recall. And looking at the 44 that we received, 5 were duplicates. 5 were duplicates. 4 were renters, and 1 was a corporation. So I'm just putting this out there just for information. We received it. We sent it to the attorneys. They're doing the verification process, and this is just let everybody know we received it, and here's what we're doing with it up to this point.
Okay.
So when you received it on that date, and when did you actually file the requisite papers so you can actually dispute the ballots as you're claiming?
I don't understand your question.
Okay, you're saying that you received the petition on or around sometime in December. In fact, that was December the 16th.
No, actually, it was in my box. I got it Christmas Eve. Sorry.
Okay, well, the date that it goes by the date that your agent receives it. So you may need to get legal counsel.
So it doesn't go to my agent; it goes to me. It was directed directly to me as president of Delvista Condo Association. It was addressed to president.
Correct.
Okay. Nobody else in the office opens mail that's addressed to me.
Mr. Perkins, you may need to seek legal counsel whenever a registered letter is served on your agent, which is the Delvista Management Office and security agents. It is considered to be received. So I can see your whatever facial expressions which are very entertaining is you want to make at this point, but you may whenever the process is whenever any documents that is served on you, sir, and we have a law firm with many attorneys, and I do believe you have a very competent you have staffs, the security agents that are competent to receive documents on your behalf, and you have a property manager who's a licensed scam. He can actually, he's capable to actually provide that information. Wait a second, please.
Is there a question
He
somewhere
is capable to, in fact, provide the information to you that whenever a document is received by the United States Postal Service via certified mail by your agent, it's considered to be received, and so seek legal advice. Second thing I'd like to suggest to you is once you receive that, there is a statutory guideline that provides you a specific time in which, if you have an issue, if you wanted to actually contest any of the ballots, whether they're signers or we call them defects, within that period in which you could actually file that with the DBPR for arbitration. It is not within the purview of the board itself to just review the ballots and decide that ballots are invalid. The ballot.
Excuse me.
So
I did
please
not
seek legal
decide what
advice.
was invalid.
I'm not an attorney, and I'm not gonna. I'm not an attorney, and I'm not gonna offer free legal advice because I'm not an attorney. So
Thank you.
seek legal advice, because what you're saying in terms of when you receive documents,
And
you are
that's
currently.
as soon as I
If
receive
this
a
is the process.
I will bring it up.
If this is the process, if this is the process you're handling in terms of when you receive documents on the association's behalf, in terms of lawsuits or servings, please seek legal advice as to when it's considered received, because what you're saying to us, sir, you're exposing the associations to liability.
Excuse me. Yeah, let's move on. Okay.
Enough.
Anybody else have anything other than Mr. Warren to say on this issue?
No.
All right, let's move on to
The attorney.
yes. It's the attorneys. When we receive a response, I will share that with the board and also with the membership. Okay, now. Open discussion to discuss any issues that the membership would like to discuss. However, I would like to ask, in the interest of time, that we limit it to 5 minutes per resident. And if you have specific questions, then those we can take a look at, and if we can't provide you an answer today, then they will be part of the minutes, and they will be answered at our next board meeting.
Okay,
I open the floor up to any residents that have any discussion items that they would like to bring before the board.
Is the new director sequestered, or can I speak to her, or is she still under board director Harris? Can I speak to her?
Actually, she left the meeting. She had another appointment.
So this is very convenient, Mr. President. Mr. President, this is very serious. So Mr. President,
start the clock 5 minutes.
Mr. President, so the board has moved to appoint a new person to the board, right? And that new person, yes, it was within the purview of the board to do that, to appoint the person, to appoint this new owner. This new owner that's on the board appears that she is either the interest that she is displayed in terms of her interest to take care of her affairs is very questionable. That's one issue apart. Issue number two. Why didn't she apply like any other owner of Delvista to be a candidate to run for the office of director? Why are you abridging the rights of owners of this association and sitting there and staring back with this face of wisdom that it is within the wisdom of the board to decide for the owners, right? Knowing very well that most of you are already termed out. So you're termed out, and you're appointing this new owner that I've never seen her on my building. Like, she's questionable whether she lives here or not. So you appoint this new resident. You have not allowed the owners of the association to ask questions, to be familiar with her, to figure out what's her experience and what she's bringing to the table. And you sit there with a look, looking smart, right? Carl Berkings, what is your explanation for doing this to the residents of the association? And then you conveniently abridge the rights of the residents to question the director. So you arrange that you appoint her on the board. If this director is interested to be on the board, she would actually stay because this is the first meeting. This is a disgrace.
Paul, just to play devil's advocate for at least
Wait a minute,
6
Luis,
months.
let him finish his 5 minutes before you answer.
Just a minute.
This is a disgrace. It's a disgrace, Louise. How do we appoint someone on the board and the residents of the association I live on Tower 2, and I never met anyone who are running to this young lady, right? And you're all turned out, your terms out to be off the board. And if you were so interested, why didn't you say to her, well, madam, you can apply like any other resident to be a candidate on the board. And she could present herself at a candidate forum in which residents can ask her question as to what do you bring to the table? What are you bringing to Delvista? We don't know. You know, and you have abridged the rights of the members of the association to find out what this young lady brings to the association. That is a fraudulent attempt that you are doing. It's fraudulent, it's corrupt, and you're abridging the voting rights of members of the association. And you're all placed on notice for breaching your fiduciary responsibility and for this corrupt act. Sit there all looking smug.
Besides being rude, I just would like to play devil's
Being
advocate.
rude is someone that was just appointed to the board, and no one has actually met this person. She has not spoken with the residents of the association, and she has left, and she was appointed to the board, and you're telling me that I am being rude? You are the one that are rude. You are all the ones who are being rude. You are being abusing. You are abusing your powers. You are abusing your authority with the residents of the association.
For 6 months, we've been trying to get people to please apply to the board.
You're abusing your authority. Yes, you are abusing your authority to the residents. And this is a fraudulent attempt, and it will be revealed. There are residents. You could have appointed Daniel Epstein. He applied. He told you were interested. There are other residents who are here, and you have installed someone. You have installed a puppet that is corrupt to do your deeds.
Paul, are you done with your ranting? Excuse me. It's getting late.
Okay, Mr. Warren, you have about 30 seconds left of your 5 minutes. You'd like to use it?
You will need more than 30 minutes. Figure that out.
Okay, we've heard from Mr. Warren. Is there any other residents that have an issue that they would like to bring before the board?
Yeah, me, Daniel Epstein.
All right, we'll start the clock.
Good. I'd like to know if our manager have a contract, and if he doesn't have a contract, why we're going to go to the history of the renovation, like we did renovate the building with 3 property managers, and everybody blamed the other manager. That's number 1. Number 2, let me ask a question about all the change orders, what signed to capital, and I like you guys to review them. You have some change orders. They are not supposed to be a change order because the scope of work we've been charged is in the main contract. That's it.
I save the rest of my time to him.
What?
I give the rest of my time to Alberto.
And I give the rest of my time to Alberto Munoz.
Okay, Mr. Epstein, can you just restate your questions one more time so that we can make sure that we got them correctly? Because I can't answer it right now, but we would like to get those in the meeting record so that we can...
You don't know. The president doesn't know if the manager have a contract? What's going on over there? The manager have a contract? That is my question, simple question. Because I saw an email from Mariano to one of the member of the building say the manager doesn't have a contract.
No, he doesn't. He is an at-will employee, just like our other employees. Our previous manager was granted a contract by a different board. However, when we hired Mr. Deutsch, we hired him as a at-will employee.
All right, what about the question? Daniel ceded the rest of his time to me. What about the change orders? What about an audit? They have had change orders that are duplicative of things that were required in the contract. And since you talk about their breach of contract, how are they being allowed to get away with change orders that are duplicitous in the sense that they are asking for money to be paid for things they agreed in the main contract? And I've read both. And I don't need an answer right now, but I think Mr. Epstein deserves an answer, and you board members can take as long to answer that. But I also want to make the following points. In Tower 1, we have been without a third of our elevators. Our elevators have expired since 2019. This is causing a hardship on the residents of Tower 1. This has been allowed to go on far too long and represents a safety and an impediment to residents that need to get to work or get their kids to school. Number two, we have in the northeast corner, what appears to be a garbage dump of materials that are there. Some have been cleaned, but debris, including building materials, have been allowed to stay there, including abandoned vehicles. There's a motorcycle or motor scooter that's been allowed to be there now for months on end. The motorcycle appears to be damaged, heavily damaged from an accident. Why is nobody taking action on that? Furthermore, I can tell you this. I thank you for giving us the update on the doors, but the doors are qualitatively inadequate. Not just illegal from the point of view of code and fire enforcement, but they're illegal. Furthermore, there has been damage to the panels in the penthouse tower 1 with chronic leaks of water. That continues unabated for months. The problems out in the parking lot are acute, but the problem that we have right now is that nothing is being done about it. Panels have been saturated with water and have fallen. If those panels fall and hurt somebody, the association will be responsible. Furthermore, the Velcro attachments that were used after they were installed and they were removed are not adequate. That has not been addressed by the board. Furthermore, in addition to all of the problems that we've had with Capital's contract, we have a situation right now where garbage was allowed to accumulate. Even though I've been assured that it's been removed, it was a shame that it took the city to get involved and safeguard the sanitary and health conditions of our residents to take care of that problem. As far as what was going on with the scaffolding in the north wing, they were working on the entire area, the entire wall, all the way up the line. The adequate response was not to tell me that they discovered and took emergency actions. Furthermore, Carl, you were presiding on this meeting. The manager's an employee. He tried to direct you on multiple occasions on how to conduct the meeting or what to do on the meeting. That is not the way a board meeting should be conducted. Not on this board, where I served on 3 occasions, not on any board that we've ever had in Delvista, not on any board that I've ever served, is the manager, an employee, directing the president of the board how to conduct the meeting. In addition, the maintenance right now in our building is pathetic. Every day there is garbage thrown all over the parking lot. There is garbage that is located all over the parking lot, including plastics, including items of paper, including boxes that are piled on. This is not in keeping with a consistent quality of life for our residents. In addition, we have a situation where right now the cleaning has been brought to the attention of the vendor who comes and cleans, but there's no consistency. They clean one day, they don't clean another day. The board has not addressed that in any shape, form, or fashion. We have serious quality of life issues at the Delvista. In nearly 2 decades that I've been there, and I don't know how long any of you have been there, this is the worst qualitative standard of living that we've had in our common areas. And still, there is nothing being done to address these issues. I hear talk about getting barbecues, about talking about other projects, but
appointing
the
new
most basic
member
thing, which is basic maintenance, is not being addressed whatsoever. And you may think this is mundane, but people who live there, people who have children there, don't appreciate that the board has not addressed what has been going on in the problems of Delvista. And the problems are systemic and systematic as well. This is not anything that is consistent. And what really bothers me about this is that the board seems to be nonchalant. For example, today you appointed a member to a vacancy. 7 or 8 months ago at a meeting, I asked the board to appoint someone to that vacancy. And Ms. Rudnick says that this was put out for a request for people who wanted to apply. There was no request put out to any of the members. We get emails about a barbecue on a Sunday or a holiday, but at no time did this board ever put out a request for applicants to that position. And Ms. Rudnick, you texted Daniel Epstein, and I saw that you would support him to become a board member for the vacancy. So you knew there were other people that were interested. There was no solicitation for resumes. Ms. Rudnick, I am not ceding my time to you. There was no request for, you can respond all you want. I mean, I know Mr. Berkins will give you an opportunity, and I invite all of you to respond to these concerns. But there was no request put out for submissions of applications for the vacancy that was on the board. And you have, I think Mr. Warren's statement, while angry, is well served. You have elections coming up the next month. You have a board that you're trying to make decisions for that has not been elected. You have debts that we're going to incur that have not been discussed. You are talking about engineering firms. You're talking about contractors. This belongs to the next board. Many of you, if not most of you, had announced that you will not run again for that position. So you are in a way subverting the order of having our will as residents, as members of the board, exercising our selection.
You're out of time.
No, I'm not out of time, because if you listen and you quoted Robert's Rules of Orders, a member in a debate can cede his remaining time to another member who's entitled. So I have 5 more minutes.
Actually, he gave you 2 minutes and 30 seconds of his time, and you've used your 5 minutes. So you're right now at 9.5 minutes. I'll concede and give you another 2 minutes. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Berkins. But the bottom line is this, folks. I know some of you disagree. We may all have disagreements. You're entitled to your own opinions, but you're not entitled to your own facts. Talk to the people who are coming to our building, realtors that are showing our property, that complain about the overwhelming number of deficiencies that we have that have not been addressed, like the elevator, the staircases, the garbage removal, the garbage on the property, the abandoned automobiles that are there that don't belong to any members or any residents of our property. And you're not doing anything, and you let the manager run wild and do whatever he wants, as if he were the director of the building, who is self-appointed as some kind of a small town dictator. And you're not asserting your responsibility and your duties. And you may not like that position. You may not like that accusation, but that's what's going on in our building. The quality has definitely gone down in the maintenance on a day-to-day basis. And today, you gave us an informational meeting to tell us what's going on with capital renovations. But Carl Wilkins, I told you, and I told Gotti Lasham, as early as last March, that capital was in breach of the contract. I read the entire contract, and clearly they breached it by not acquiring the proper permits and not acquiring the proper certifications for the doors. That is all in the contract. And I appreciate that. You said 2 more minutes. I still have 30 seconds.
Okay.
I have 30 seconds. I got a clock too. I'm just telling you, Mr. President, I implore you to do the right thing in the time that you have remaining. And if not, I would advocate the following. Do not take any further actions. Allow a new board to be elected and to assume the responsibility for changes that will cost us a significant amount of money. We do not want to turn this into a disaster where people don't want to buy, people can't sell, people don't want to move in.
Okay, your time is up. Are there any other members that have an issue that they would like to bring before the board?
Are the directors going to respond to Judge Millian's questions?
Please, you wanted to respond. Go ahead. Mariano, you wanted to respond. Go ahead.
I just wanted
I have one. The request for candidates in the position was asked on board that they believe it was not. And I
So
asked
every question that was raised,
anybody that wanted to fill the can I finish? Anybody who wants to be candidate to fill.
Mariano, we can't hear you. You're freezing, and I can't understand you. You're freezing. You're coming. The coming. I think it's a Wi-Fi issue or something.
The open board seat when Udi resigned, that's an open board seat. It's not required for us to have an election to post an opening. It's up to the board, according to our condo docs. They can fill that or not fill that. We had an open seat for 2 years in 2019 that was never filled. However, because of the pandemic and the fact that it's hard to get a quorum when people are traveling or unavailable, and we have serious issues that need to be addressed, and some of them are coming down to a 3-3, we needed the extra board member as a tiebreaker. So you may not like it, get over it.
What? What?
Didn't have to go
Excuse me? What?
Yeah.
What? Excuse me? We should get over it? Excuse me? Did you say to the residents that we should get over it?
Oh, let's not enter into polemic. Carl, the bottom line is that you had this opportunity nearly a year ago, and you took no action on it as a board. And I advocated it to you, and I have the meeting notes that exemplify that. And you decided not to when Udi resigned right after getting elected. Within a month of getting elected, he resigned. So your explanation holds no water. By the way, let me just tell you one last thing. It'll take me 2 seconds to state it. You're setting meetings at 5 p.m. and at hours where people are not available to go. This looks like an attempt to get people not to attend. When I was on the board, somebody set meetings on a Friday, and I said, that's a disrespect to all of our members who observe Shabbat. No meeting should be held at 5 o'clock. People are working. People are bringing their kids home from school. People who want to attend are not going to be available until at the earliest 6 or 7 p.m. Please have the consideration to respect that some people have religious observances, work obligations, and they can't make a meeting at 5 o'clock. I hope that was not the intent of setting this meeting at 5 p.m. In all the years I've been there has been no meeting at 5 p.m.
It absolutely was not. The reason that it was set at 5 p.m. was so that I could get a quorum. Because last week, when I tried to set a meeting at 6, I could not get a quorum. Therefore, we could not hold a meeting.
Of course, we believe you.
All right, Mr. Perkins, I accept your explanation. I'm not challenging your integrity on this, but I am telling you that please find a meeting time, not on a Friday, so that observant Jews can observe Shabbat, and please find a time in the other 4 days of the week, that you got 4 days of the week, that more membership of the association can attend. That's a courtesy, and I think we all want to be courteous to each other, regardless of our disagreements.
Totally agree.
And Paul, I'd just like to add, I really believe that, please, give the residents of the association, please take no more additional action that subvert the owner's rights to choose, to interview the directors. You have used your discretion to appoint someone else to the board. Fine. Please allow us the opportunity to actually engage with this new director whenever it's possible, because I don't know her. Most of the regular residents don't know her. And we have someone that's deciding our affairs, and we have many issues that need to be taken care of here. Please.
Okay. Thank you for your comments. Can I get a motion to adjourn the meeting? Can I get a second?
I make a motion to adjourn the meeting. Regina, second.
Yes.
All in favor?
Aye, enough, I gotta go.
Okay. Yep. All right, the meeting was terminated at 6:48 p.m. Thanks everybody for participating and showing up. Happy New Year. Talk to you soon.
Bye. Bye. I gotta run.
Bye bye.